Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. Can the Bengals continue streaking in the quad, Perna?
We're streaking! We're going up through the quad to the gymnasium!
Cincy ended their 30-year streak of playoff losses last week, but they haven't won a divisional playoff game since 1988. 1988 was the year Tom Brady turned 30, and also the era where Derrick Henry was born to play. This weekend, nobody gets an easy game as the Eagles, Cowboys, Cardinals, and Patriots are all at home where they belong. So let's dive into each game and peek into which ways every team can win or lose their divisional game. That's good, sports. Ooh, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you don't, your face will melt. New year, new you, new pubes. Today's episode is brought to you by manscaped.com/goodsports. Now it might be time for you to upgrade your dong tongs, and that's why I recommend the Performance Package 4.0 with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, a cordless, waterproof, below-the-belt groomer that you can use in the shower. Please trim in the shower and stop trying to complete the trim your pubes during your work Zoom call challenge. It's weird. With the Performance Package, you get the lawnmower and the weed whacker to clear out those nasty nose holes, and the crop preserver and crop reviver to shine and de-smellify your balls. If you think someone other than yourself might be looking at your naked pelvic area, put your best phallus forward with the ultimate grooming kit. Use my link below, manscaped.com/goodsports for 20% off, plus free international shipping and 2 free gifts. Let's start with the Bengals versus Titans. How can the Titans win this game? Yeah, Derrick Henry. But the real matchup is in the trenches on the D-line for the Titans. Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, and Danico Autry. That trio of edge/interior defenders have combined for 187 QB pressures this season. 30 sacks between those three dudes going against one of the most sackable QBs in the NFL. They're the only trio in the league with 8+ sacks apiece. Some say they're the best big trio since Olive Garden dropped its tour of Italy featuring lasagna. Simmons, chicken parm, Autry, and fettuccine alfredo, that slippery Harold Landry. How will Tennessee lose? Ryan Tannehill plays like he did in that stretch where the Titans lost 3 of 4 games and he threw 6 picks to just 2 TDs. It is a bit weird how similar these two teams are statistically. Burrow and Tannehill both have 14 picks on the season, yet since December, they have each only thrown a pick in a single game. The Titans have the second best run defense, just 0.1 yards more allowed per game than the Ravens, and the Bengals 5th best. The Bengals were 1 slot worse in pass defense, allowing 248 yards per game to Tennessee's 245. The difference, everything in Tennessee goes through Derrick Henry when they are at their best, and everything in Cincy goes through Joe Burrow when they are at their best. How will the Bengals win? By exploiting the Titans' corners and killing them with the deep ball. I think the Bengals receivers pose a bad matchup for a pedestrian Tennessee corner group. It's one reason they gave up the 8th most passing yards per game this season. I do like the Titans safety, Kevin Byard. He's one of the best. Byard had another terrific season with 5 picks, and he hasn't had a pick since November, which is why I feel like he'll definitely have one in this game. Now the Titans do not have a true shutdown corner. The Bengals kind of nailed that with Chidobe Awuzie this offseason. I'm not sure Tennessee has a top 20 corner on the roster. And that's a problem when you're covering Jamar Chase, hi T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and CJ, oh mamma mia. And I really wish Chad Johnson was still playing for the Bengals, just to hear Ian Eagle say, Jackrabbit Jenkins just denied Ocho Cinco a touchdown! What a dumb fucking sentence that would be. The Bengals will lose if they get bullied up front. During the season, the Bengals D was a little better than average against the run. Even when Derrick Henry was out, the Titans O-line paved the way for Donta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard, who had 6.3 yards per carry in the second half of the season. The Bengals defense got bullied by the Raiders O-line, allowing 6.4 yards per carry from Josh Jacobs, who was not nearly that productive in the regular season. Trey Hendrickson should play, which is huge, and the Bengals got Josh Tupou back at practice, which also could be great for the depth on the D-line. X factor, Tyler Boyd throwing a pass versus A.J. Brown throwing a pass. Boyd is 1 for 1 on the season, and Brown is 0 for 2. Huge advantage, Bengals. Prediction, though, Titans win 24-23 because of the return of the King. The same week, the new LOTR trailer drops.
9 for mortal men, doomed to die.
49ers versus Packers. How will the 49ers win? Well, there's a scenario where the 49ers are going into Lambeau without Jimmy Garoppolo, Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa. They're fucked if that happens. I think at least 2 of those 3 players end up playing though, but if they want to win, they have to get a lot more production out of George Kittle. Kittle hasn't been useless because he's one of the best blockers on his team, but he's only caught 6 passes for 28 yards in the last 2 games. He needs to give this team a little more in the passing game, and I think that's going to happen. The last time these 2 teams played, Kittle was a factor, grabbing 7 passes for 92 yards in the 49ers' 2-point loss. 2 players that I think are going to be key for a 49ers win: Dre Greenlaw, who didn't play in the regular season matchup, and he's finally up to speed after returning late in the season, although he's got some groin thing happening right now. In front of him, Eric Armstead, who is quietly wreaking havoc even when Nick Bosa is off the field. And if he can help the Niners get pressure with the 4-man rush, maybe they can pull off the upset. How will the 49ers lose? Pretty simple to me, and it feels like a pretty likely outcome. If the 49ers can't figure out what to do with Davante Adams, they will probably lose this game. Adams goes off just about every single time he plays San Francisco, including 132 yards the last time these 2 teams played. The 49ers don't have a lockdown guy to put on Adams, so they have to double team him or figure out something schematically to slow him down, which they have never proven they can do. The 49ers also had the worst turnover differential of any remaining playoff team. They broke even last week, but a reason for that isn't because Jimmy G is a turnover machine. It's because their secondary is not opportunistic. Just 9 picks on the season, and now they play a quarterback who never ever throws picks. San Fran won't get any extra opportunities in this game unless a reason the Packers might lose, their special teams hand it to them with the blunder. How will the Packers win? Well, Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, but if the Packers can slow down a 4-man 49ers pass rush that picked up 5 sacks against Dallas last week, they'll be in good shape. Hopefully David Bakhtiari is good to go for Green Bay. The Packers also have to remember that even though you've got Aaron Rodgers, playing the 49ers is always a tug-of-war when it comes to time of possession. So you have to slow down and remember to run the ball sometimes to take some heat off of Rodgers. Give me a strong mix of A.J. Dillon, you son of a bitch, and Aaron Jones. At least 25 combined touches between the 2, and yes, that includes passes. And the Packers can lose if the 49ers do what they did in the 2019 NFC Championship game and run the ball 42 times for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. That keeps Rodgers off the field. Needless to say, they can't let the Niners get even half of that on the ground if they want to win. If Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell start running wild, they could get quickly overmatched and lose by multiple scores. The Pack did a great job, though, of slowing down the 49ers' rushing attack in September, but Deebo Samuel only got 2 carries and Elijah Mitchell didn't play. My X factor, Allen Lazard. If the 49ers do figure out a way to slow down Davante Adams, Lazard can pick up the slack with the big game on the other side. Packers win 30-21. Rams versus Buccaneers. Do not let Tom Brady get open in the passing game. His hands are better than ever. When these two teams first played, Deshaun Jackson was the Rams' leading receiver with 120 yards, and Tom Brady with the Buccaneers, he was their leading rusher with 14 yards. And I affirm right now, neither of those things will repeat. If the Rams win, it's all about pressuring Brady. LA can get to him on the interior and off the edge, which is pretty much the only way you stop him. The Rams only sacked Kyler Murray twice, but they forced 18 pressures, which is 7 more than the Eagles generated against the Buccaneers. Philly did drop Brady 4 times, which is why that game wasn't a 45-15 final score. And a big reason for that is Tristian Wirfs went down with an ankle injury, Ryan Jensen played through an ankle injury, and the guy who replaced Wirfs, Josh Wells, played through a quad injury. So their line was banged up. On the back end, I think Jalen Ramsey can lock down Mike Evans. If the Bucs' 2 best linemen in Jensen and Wirfs are not healthy, Tampa may struggle to even get off quick passes. And Von Miller actually helps a lot in that area because he's great at dropping into coverage on backs or tight ends and picked off Brady the last time they met in the postseason. Now Tampa could have a huge advantage against the Rams linebackers. LA's inside backers aren't very good, and I doubt anyone can even name who the hell they are. Tampa's been running heavy tight end sets since Chris Godwin's injury and Antonio Brown's public meltdown. I'd look for Gronk, Cameron Brate, and Leonard Fournette if he returns to be heavy targets in the short passing game. On the defensive side for Tampa, Shaq Barrett had a pretty incredible interception last week in his first game back, but Levante David made all the difference for Tampa's defense. The Eagles could not run. They could not stretch the field and run. David and Devin White together possess too much sideline-to-sideline speed. Unlike Philly, though, the Rams do not need to run the ball to pass effectively, but I think we saw how much better Stafford looks when the rush attack is working. If Tampa takes the run away, I trust their secondary more than the Cardinals to not allow the Rams ball catchers to get wide open whenever the hell they want. When I watched the Rams this season, it felt like I'd see Stafford just choose whichever receiver had 10 yards of separation. The way McVay schemes receivers open reminds me a lot of Brady and McDaniels together in New England. I'm hoping for a vintage Cooper Kupp game here, 100+ yards, 2 TDs, and no dumb picks by Stafford. X Factor, hopefully Bruce Arians doesn't concuss any of his own players by bitch slapping them and losing 50 G's because of it. Give me a Rams win, 27-24. And finally, Bills versus Chiefs. The number one thing the Bills must do is defend the screen. The Chiefs completed 14 passes behind the line of scrimmage in their win against the Steelers. Big Ben could have done that shit. Obviously, Buffalo needs to worry about the deep ball as well. Mahomes threw a 28 and 32-yard touchdown, but I am very confident in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on the back end to take that away or at least limit it. Jerick McKinnon, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, and the return of Edwards behind the line of scrimmage is what worries me for the Bills. You cannot allow the Chiefs to have that much success with easy throws, or they will kill you. The Bills will have to bounce the team that bounced them from the postseason last year to get to the Super Bowl. If they want to win, they have to stare at that Stephon Diggs picture so hard that it starts to hurt their eyeballs. And Diggs is the key for the Bills to win, in my opinion. Just 200-yard games for Stephon Diggs this season. Now, part of that is because Josh Allen spreads the ball around nicely and the emergence of Dawson Knox as a vicious red zone threat. But I want to see Diggs do what Jamar Chase did to the Chiefs secondary in this game. If the Chiefs want to win, the first thing they must do is ensure Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't get a ticket to the game. Congrats to the Chiefs for being the only team to lose the turnover battle and still win in the postseason. -1 on that costly fumble and a pick in a game where it didn't matter because you played the Steelers. I think a turnover could decide this game. We haven't talked about Dan Sorensen for a while, probably because he's playing about half the snaps from when he was getting beat every week. Sorensen may be on the field, though, more than the Chiefs want, since Knox, Diggs, Gabe Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cole Beasley can all be on the field at the same time. That is a lot of people to defend in the passing game. Josh Allen needs to find the mismatch there every time, and it's going to always be Dirty Dan's corner. Do the Chiefs have a liability? Yes, their run defense. Sure, it looked great against Najee Harris and the horrible Steelers offensive line, but they gave up 191 to the Broncos, 130 to the Steelers the first time around, 192 to the Chargers. The Bills finally made Devin Singletary a featured back. And if Drew Lock can rush for 2 TDs against the Chiefs defense, so can Josh Allen. The key to not losing for KC is limiting what Josh Allen does with his legs, and I'm not sure their defense is capable of doing that. Allen and Singletary have combined for 899 rushing yards since the month of December. X Factor?
Stop getting arrested, Chiefs players. Oh man, a page out of the Chad Kelly playbook. It looks like homosexual penis in my father's name, Willie Gay Jr. arrested the other night after getting into an altercation with his child's mother and breaking her vacuum. How dare you break a vacuum? You better hope that wasn't a Dyson, Willie.
Buffalo wins this one all the way this time, 28-27, in what I think is going to be the most exciting game of the weekend. Oh, thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please check out another video of mine. Perhaps you'd like to know where Russell Wilson's going. That video's up on the screen now. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, @Brandon Perna, if you care to follow my other dumbass social medias.